Yes, good afternoon, good evening, people. This is Chris from the Han Experience. And for all my Dutch viewers, you know who I am. And Dutch subtitles will be added later. As you already know, and I'm about to bring him out, why not? This is Martin Liedtke, people from England. Very nice that you're with us, Martin. How are you? Yeah, you have to unmute. Yeah, okay, man. Mm.
I'm fantastic. Thanks for the invite, Chris. Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I have to put some volume there. We were already discussing and already talking about so many things already. And yeah,
It's
I
always
just
the
had
same.
to put on the live so everybody could see it. So everybody at home, you can also ask some questions. I can see it's a real live, and this is also with StreamYard, so we can do these kinds of things. It's been a while since I was able to do that. But anyway, Martin, to ask you a first question. Who are you? What's Flat Earth British? A short introduction.
Well, I'm Martin Liedtke. I'm from Wales. Not to be mistaken with England, but Wales in the UK. I'm just got a maritime background. I'm ex-merchant navy. I've done 1,001 things in my life. Travelled most of it. I used to be a family man, and now I'm a truther for the last decade or so. I've always been a truther. I've always been an analytic-minded person. I would literally pick apart everything. I think like Sherlock Holmes. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie
yeah,
to
yeah.
you.
And for instance, of for flat Earth, when did you realize or thought about flat Earth?
Well, they make a lot of bold claims, so I put things to the test. And the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time I seen that come along in 2015,
yeah.
at first I ignored it for a bit, and I thought, well, that is interesting, but I can't imagine that being true. But I didn't think it was silly at all. I was like all flat earthers at the time. I was a big NASA fanboy, and I would pride myself on what I knew about,
Yeah.
space topics. So it
Yeah,
took
well,
me
it
no
is the
time at
case.
all.
I can imagine you. I also personally had a lot of ridicule, of course, because I also was screaming about flat Earth. But people, you have to realize this. This is the truth, and of course, it's all also very yeah battled against, by NASA and the big agencies, which is also a great giveaway that there is actually something there, to investigate.
100%. Yeah, it was an easy transition for me from believing in a globe to
Yeah.
flat. It was very easy. It
Oh,
only
I was
took me
completely. I told you in my email. I
months.
was completely fascinated. I even had my whole arm full of tattoos with aliens and UFOs and things like that. I
So
was
I
a
was full
absolute
of it.
fanboy for space, but
Yeah,
now I,
man.
of course,
Ancient
realize.
aliens, yo.
Yeah, man. And I believed every ex CIA agent with all the great stories
I
and
did question it, but like some of the early stuff, like the Al Bellic stuff to do with time
yeah,
travel,
yeah,
the
yeah,
One
or like
Project,
Roswell
I
things like that,
was literally obsessed with all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
man, absolutely. Or even the
no time at all with
possibilities
Flat Earth.
and the vastness of space itself. It's just
Well,
for your
I thought
imagination.
it was really simple. I thought, oh my God, as soon as I'd seen the flat Earth map, the azimuthal equidistant map presented to me, I was like, wow, there's something else other than the globe. And
Yeah,
then
man.
I downloaded all of the Zetetic cosmogony books and I went through them and all of the Robotham books, parallax
Yeah,
books from the late 1800s.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, so they can't get high enough up to take a photograph. So
yeah.
they're not
Well, I
going
was
to
also surprised that
space.
the most early photos from 1850 or 1860
They
are
can't do it. They can't get up high enough. It's a fact. And
well, and
everything
I saw
CGI.
some kind of video yesterday about that there must be older photos like from the 16 or 1700s, considering we also see very advanced buildings from those times. I cannot imagine there was not anybody around that invented a technology like this. I mean, they clearly had electronics or magnetism, to
It's
work with.
all magnetism. Everything in this place is electromagnetism. They call it gravity, but electromagnetic push and pull forces of
Yeah,
magnetic
and I guess
attraction
maybe I think half, maybe, or a part of the industry
as
that
well.
we, as
Yeah,
today, yeah, that we today. So like in it, for instance, energy or something, it could be all be a great hoax. and it's just
Well,
it's just harvested for free
I
and
think we're
sold to
going
us.
there again. This is the cycles we go through, and everybody knows, they're on about climate change when really it's a natural cyclical event. If anything is natural in this place, which I doubt
Yeah.
anymore, it all feels artificial. Feels like we're in the Truman Show for sure.
Yeah, I also had my personal Truman Show moments, but yeah, about artificial, about being it artificial. You also, of course, you know Jason RGX, eh?
Yeah,
But
sure. I don't
yeah,
know him
you,
personally, but I know
yeah,
of him. Yeah.
you spoke with him, I guess. You
No,
were.
no, man, no.
Oh well. Anyway, what do you think about his theories about?
I haven't watched him. I don't actually watch any YouTube videos.
All
I
right, okay,
haven't got
cool.
time
Well,
because I've got 4 channels and I'm like the day-to-day run-ins of I'm
now
reading
he
that.
say he has some really interesting stuff. He read like a
Yeah,
thousand.
well, the thing is, I know because everyone tells me in my comments,
Okay.
it's the plasma discharge event, isn't it? And he set a date for it as well, hasn't he? Yeah.
Well, yeah,
The
it's more like
Phoenix event. Am I
yeah,
wrong?
yeah. It's the Phoenix event. Well, yeah, it was
Okay,
funny.
but it's taken from, isn't this Mayan tablets that he's found in books in a prison from the
Yeah, yeah.
first millennium AD, which I really do not think is there at all.
No, no, oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I think you're
there's a
right.
lot
Yeah,
of this. Literally in my first book, The Holy Grail of the Flat Earth, I talk about electromagnetic weaponry like the fasces. I talk about plasma discharge events being mentioned in Homer's Iliad.
yeah.
Where everything is like literally vitrified in this place and
Or like
melted.
in the
And
ancient Veda texts.
exactly the Bhagavad Gita, the battle
Yeah,
between Krishna and Arjuna, Vimanas and
yeah.
Vamashvaras and the
And
rest.
what do
So
you think about the Titans and the things like Divergent speaks about? Like the
yeah,
mountains or the trees. The ancient
for
trees.
sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I saw a video yesterday from I believe it was John Levy again, but it was so interesting, and it was about
Great
whole
name.
structures. About if you take the Rocky Mountains and you zoom out, and from pretty far above, this also could be or looks like a some kind of tree, something,
Yeah, for
some
sure. I
kind of
think
species.
that's the case. I think that
Yeah,
in a
well,
lot of
and
cases,
if
I
you
don't
think
think
about it,
all
and
mountains are
and I
titans,
know
but
when I used to travel, yeah, I went by airplane a few times in my life, but of course, and I always used to think when I go up, also always thought by myself, there is so much useless space in our world. We are so small. But I guess we are really are small compared to the people who were here before. I guess.
for sure, for sure.
Well, because like Tartaria, I guess Tartaria is a bad name for the whole period. I guess.
Well, it's a name, but there is a fact that they replicated the architecture everywhere in the world identical.
Yeah,
So there was
in
one
the late
building. I don't
1800s,
think
right?
every country was sharing starfort
Yeah,
plans,
yeah.
or,
Well,
or
yeah. Let's talk about Star Forts, or even just the architecture itself,
yeah, we can.
because they say it all comes from late 1800s or something, right?
Well, yeah, but free energy was used in the past. I think we've safely established that
Yeah,
by
yeah,
now. I got some
absolutely,
evidence that I could
absolutely.
show you now. But I do think we're going there again because with this cyclical change of reset, the electromagnetism increases, and there are signs of that happening right now. The animals are doing circles on the
Yeah,
Taurus
yeah,
field
yeah, yeah. That's very
worldwide.
strange.
Yeah. So what we find is maybe in the past the liquid ether or the medium that we find ourselves in, okay,
Yeah,
would
yeah.
have had more electromagnetism. And if you can imagine being able to jump off the
Mm-hmm.
ground and
Mm-hmm.
actually float because it would have been more fluidy and it would have been more electromagnetism, what they would call lighter gravity, if you
Oh
like.
wow, wow,
Okay,
wow, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which might explain why there's no toilets in Tartaria, because maybe there was no need for it. Maybe people were getting around this way, sort of,
Yeah,
there's a lot of cases with the staircases. Why are they so wide? Why are they spiral? If you fill
yeah.
these places full of water or a watery medium, things
Oh
start making a
wow,
lot more sense.
wow. Never. Yeah, like it was all water or something like
Yeah.
that. It was
Yeah,
all like it's
because
more fluid like.
more fluid like
Wow.
in a
Like
fluid
yeah,
medium. Yeah, the thing
and
is,
this also it could also be the reason why we see such large sediments
well,
or like water flowing through large parts of dead
well,
large parts of dead.
we are water creatures. When we
Yeah,
before
yeah,
we came
yeah. We
becoming
have
you, we're
also
in our mother's womb, okay, in
yeah,
water.
man,
So
yeah,
we're breathing water. We come out of our mother's womb, so we're birthed like a ship, birthed into the canal. So it's all maritime law phrases. And then
Yeah,
we arrive and we're gasping for air because we're not from here. We're from a more watery place. Yeah. This is a
yeah,
thin, watery, and I don't even think that's our sun because in Tartaria or in the what they call the Victorian era, everybody is covered up on the seaside. Everyone has an umbrella. Everyone has a hat. Everyone is covered away from the sun, like there's something wrong with it.
yeah.
Okay.
And there's also ancient legends about this being this of their sun is like just like the moon is a recent phenomenon, or there was a time before a sun and the moon were here or something. There are
Yeah.
legends about that and
Yeah,
about
Zulu oral tradition says there was the moon turned up. Before that time, the world was swampy and gassy, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
I said, more thick air.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
like a purple haze or something, you know?
got it. That
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
era. Yeah, a bit more like what you see in the film Avatar. That sort of world.
yeah. Well, and then more watery, I guess.
More
Well,
watery.
I've also thought about a lot about this, and I took a LSD trip a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and I took like an overdose, and I went to my room. About it wasn't that consciously I did it. So I went to my room, and I sat in the dark, and I had the most amazing
I
experience.
bet.
It was the second time I did it in my whole life, so it's
Oh
not
wow.
like a
No,
thing for me.
I often, I haven't had any acids for
Well,
about a year,
you
but I
know,
often lay
the
in
Alice
bed
in
in
Wonderland
the dark.
stuff. I did it a few times in my life, but this time, my goodness, this was really in another world. I,
Brilliant.
I was in a dark room, but I was not here anymore.
No,
Anyway, it was like a journey in your dream world or whatever. And I started asking questions. Show me how we look from far above, or show me how these dimensions are stacked on each other or something. And the way that I understood it is like we are all consciousness, of course, which create a like a hallucinogenic reality. But
sure.
from a higher dimension, we are like a fungus. Consciousness is like a fungus spreading. It's like it goes always. You know, it's four dimensional or whatever. We cannot really imagine what it would be like, but it's something like that, I guess. And it also translates absolutely to a waterly world, or or reality, three-dimensional reality based on water as we experience. It completely goes along with that. So it's very fascinating.
Mm.
Another question: when do you think this time was? If you look at the architecture, is it really just reset before 1880, or are these older structures which just got dated wrongly or something?
Every British city, the Victorian buildings all show like 1870 onwards. There seems to be nothing before except for the Gothic cathedrals of
Yeah,
Britain.
yeah,
So everything's
the
missing.
cathedrals, for example. If you look at for example, old books, you know, from 1600s or something, then you see certain parts of cities that look exactly the same in a way as they do today. And then those advanced buildings are already standing there for at least 500 years or something.
For sure. That's what I think's happening. I think that they're repurposed. I think that they find them. They probably find the organs in them and don't even know what they do.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
then
talking about organs.
yeah,
That is your personal expertise, right? I saw a video of John Levy in which he talked about you and your view on the windows in cathedrals and old churches. And what can you tell us about this?
well, they all spoil cymatic patterns, which is a vibrational quality, basically being able to see sound. Okay, if you do basically, I don't know if any of you've seen that experiment where you put a frequency through a plate, and the sand or whatever on top of the plate will exhibit something like a snowdrop. A
Mhm.
beauty, and each sound has its own specific cymatic pattern. And that's Gaudi's cathedral. There's a lot of questions to be had with that. It really
Yeah,
is.
well, I just thought this was a fascinating. This is pretty
It looks
recent.
like it's melted at the bottom. It is, for some reason, he's covered it in what looks like melted stonework at the bottom. It's a very
Yeah, well,
unusual thing.
they say this is a pretty recent structure, right?
Well, you can see the photographic record, but I have posted that when they put in this structure up, there is nothing but fields in the center of Barcelona. And it just posed the question, what the hell is going on? There's literally a cow standing in front of this field, in front of this building, the
Wow.
greatest architectural feat in Europe going on. It's just
Yeah. Well,
something
it's
doesn't ring
especially the
true.
inside. Check this out.
Whoa.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, then if you can see it, I have to. I
But
have to
yeah,
show
so
it
if
now.
the organs are playing and they're
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
off
Well, regarding the
quality,
organs and also the again the windows of the cathedral,
yeah, so
those
they
are
pass through the windows, which got lead crystal, and different qualities. The older windows still have that quality, and they vibrate. It's all resonance, and it would be able to be put out into the community. So these places would have been like healing stations. You'd have going in there for 432. You would have come out feeling fantastic, and
yeah,
people in the
okay.
environment outside would have been able to benefit. Plants grow bigger with electroculture. With
Wow. Yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
what would be the specific function of the windows? Is it like a funneling system or something, or a
Well, it's part of the circuit. Basically, if you can imagine a new kind of technology so fantastic and so futuristic, it'll blow your head off. And if you imagine that all of these cities that are down in the world right now are based on a circuit board of a computer, a
yeah,
motherboard of a computer, okay, identical.
yeah,
So you can presume that all of these cities are actually calculating something and they're producing power. The people in the cities, all the people crushed in together, are all giving off these 2,000 volts at a peak day we give off. So you have 20,000 people in one skyscraper working in an office, giving off that electricity, that energy. That is the energy which
yeah.
drives the circuit board city. So we are making power for either the whole manifestation process, or we are producing energy, like in the Matrix movie, for
Yeah, and
them,
I
because
also
we're
heard
just
stories
slaves.
about
Yeah.
big events and that they collect somehow our energy that we express as a crowd.
Stadiums, any of that negative energy going on, especially with these sporting events, like they have the Commonwealth Games and they have the band
Yeah.
on, or the Hollywood, or the Super Bowl, and have Madonna
Hmm.
on in the middle doing some ritualistic satanic stuff.
Well,
Being as you got 100,000 people in these stadiums or whatever, they know deep down that they're party to some kind of satanic ritual, and for a lot of these cases, people are quite happy to go through it. Stick up
yeah,
the devil horns, think it's all really
yeah.
funky,
It's
and not
so
actually
obvious.
anything's going to happen to their soul. It's just like
Yeah,
good
yeah.
luck with that.
It's like
Yeah,
yeah, they know it's like a spell for themselves. So,
it's a
if,
spell.
if I do this, then things will happen for me in a way or
I've shown
something.
some of these Asian Piranesi artworks. He shows Mudflood, he shows circuit board cities in what was supposed to be ancient Rome. And the stadium in Rome was a conduit to a river. And I literally overlaid it on a motherboard, and it was
Yeah.
like heat sink. It
Yeah,
was
but
all of it
is it
there.
technology? Like if you take New York for example, which was of course New Amsterdam, which started with a star fort, a
Right,
structure
you got it.
that the Dutch made. Okay,
On the
but
end of Broadway.
yeah, okay, but they now tell us that this is an ancient or an old way of working, and it's not working anymore. So it's so we did
No,
stop
no,
using
it's
it.
bullshit. That Star Fort on the end of Broad Street is 2 blocks from where the Twin Towers were
Yeah, and
standing.
yeah, absolutely.
And now
Yeah,
they've moved the new Freedom Tower a little bit further north on the island, so it's a little bit closer to where. So it's literally in the confines of this Star Fort system. Okay, that
yeah,
was in New York and New Amsterdam at the time. So they're definitely tapping into these old energies, these vibrational qualities. There's no accident that these Star Forts are put where they are. I think they're put on nodal points.
exactly.
Yeah, maybe where the veil is thinner. These technologies are alchemical technologies. The
Yeah, yeah,
alchemical knowledge is
absolutely. Yeah,
lost
and
to us.
which are all pretty ancient North European
They're using it now.
mythologies or something like that.
Yeah, well, it seems archaic and ancient, but it's funny that they are all using it now. They use it every time you watch an advert on the telly, every time you open your fridge, every time you go outside the door and see a sigil or a symbol or a hard print into your consciousness
Yeah,
on everything.
everything is hypnotizing you.
Everything is hypnotizing you.
Yeah, and hypnotizing in you more of creating of giving like
It's a wonder we even get
predatory
through
reality.
life.
Sorry.
How do we get through life, Chris? Just think about the bombardment on our senses. So it's the electromagnetics, whatever's going on with that. You've got the fuckery going on with the whole world and all of the weirdness that's just getting out of
Mhm.
control. Okay, you've got the weather doing one and is leaving everyone thinking, "Oh shit, what's going on with the weather? That's really serious."
Yeah.
You've got you've
Yeah.
got all the agendas spinning, with people all confused, with they think there's wars, they think there's this happening, they think there's that happening. You open your window, the birds are tweeting. There's nothing happening. It's only
Well,
happening on the
and
news.
about technology,
Yeah,
I personally believe that we have been through a few resets before, okay, and that
100%.
somehow parts of the civilization survived and managed to hide some of the technology. I personally believe that there must be technology way ahead of us, I guess.
All way ahead of us. But what we do is every time we come out with a reset, like in the all of the modern inventions were invented in the 1800s,
That's
predominantly
true.
out of Britain. Okay. So what's happening there is the inventors are going through already existing inventory lists. The bosses are saying, work through them, see what you can invent and reinvent. So it's just the reinvention and the repurposing of older technologies. It's
Yeah.
just this sideshow or this show is played over and over
No,
again.
again, and
Okay.
it's also about repopulating the world with
Well,
children.
that's the issue, you see, if you think of it as an issue. But what happens, Chris, is we've gone over. And not only that, the longer they leave generations here, the more chance that we work it out, and we do. Okay,
Yeah.
who built all of this crap? Where did all of this arrive from, and what is the real story? And then you got all of
Yeah,
the
and
once
I
you
think as well we're gonna find
yeah,
out in our lives what the real
but
truth is.
to me, like, the absurdity of the stuff they show us from space, for example, that
Yeah,
just solidifies that they've lost control and they've gone really stupid and
absolutely.
childish. And then you got people like Greta, and you got all of these other people like Biden, the hair sniffer, and all of these other
It's
people.
crazy.
This guy in the Ukraine as well. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
so
Zelensky,
what?
of
What?
course.
He's gone all emperor now, and he's like literally got like a scepter in his hands. So you've got
Yeah, yeah,
Elon
yeah.
Musk showing like a Vajra next to his bed. So what's his interest in electromagnetic technology? And
Hmm.
then you got Zelensky's got like some sort of scepter, and he's dressed like an emperor, sort of showing some sort of electromagnetic technology. So what? You telling me Zelensky learned that in fucking school? The guy's dense. There's no way he's learned that in school. So
No,
he's an insider. This is insider
absolutely.
knowledge.
This is
Yeah.
one big psyop. This is one
One
big
big psyop.
psychological. Oh yeah, and it's a losing one as well. They can censor Twitter. They can censor anything. They can
I get
erase our
copyrighted
pages,
daily.
but the truth
Yeah.
will keep coming back. And I also told you before this talk that I'm really glad that you, as a part of being a part of the truth community, is really just also that you respond to my messages, because my personal experiences here in Holland, everybody that I speak to, they don't want to reply. So
Well,
very
there's a few types of truthers. There's the ones that are not actually in the community that everybody watches, but they know nothing about them. They don't even see them. That's fine. And then you've got the ones that are in the community and they're friends and they've met them all and they're in the community every single day of their lives and they're part of the community.
yeah.
Then, that's part of your life. You're part of their life. You love them. You love. There's a lot of love going on. But there's a lot of YouTube that just doesn't do that, isn't there? They just separate themselves. They don't even check their comments.
Yeah, well, a funny example. About a year ago, something I saw in videos from your page and from others, also from Campbell, from Autodesk Deck, that
Cool.
you found out about Frisia, old Frisia, and that was a complete eye opener for me. And I dove in personally in the whole case and everything like that. But here in Holland, we are a small country. We should have known about this, or at least known it as a kind of mythology or fairy tale or something. But this has been kept away from us so drastically. There is something there. So, and also me
100%.
mentioning Old Frisia here in Holland, that caused extra shadow banning on my page, and also a lot of panic somehow perceived, at the sect or cult that I'm up against. But
Yeah.
I really, when I came across this fairy tale, the the alternative media here in Holland had to respond to it because I discovered something, and I have a good stage here in Holland. So only my truth now exists. And now we have a few Frisian guys, even a writer that wants to be an authority on the opinion or of our view we have of Frisia. They both deny that it even existed. They both deny that it's real or whatever. And they're
I've got a
fighting it.
lot of maps showing that it
Yeah,
exists.
yeah. Well, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Even the books, you know, you showed you were reading
Yeah,
a
the
cover
Lee
book
van der
2 days
Haar
ago.
Atlas 1733, which shows where it was and where
Exactly.
it's
This
not
was
anymore.
I also
But,
translated in a part of your book that you read in Dutch for my viewers. It was very.
oh
It
wow.
talked about.
Well, they're all in Dutch, Van der
Yeah,
Haar
well,
Atlas.
it talked about. Yeah, that's also very fascinating for me because I can also read a lot of the old stuff, and also England and the Netherlands being the world dominators from the 1600s and on
No doubt
since
about it.
then. We had the monopolies over all the world. The richest the richest companies in the world is like BlackRock. It's the BlackRock at the North Pole. Come on, you know. And the second or the biggest one is Vanguard, and Vanguard
Yeah,
is like a god from a old like a deity or something. It's like it's called the Hierophant or Hierophant or something, and that is a like a deity which looks like Santa Claus, and is called Saint Nicholas, which is also the church at that same point in New York at that Starford. There is a church there. Godgevlamste, you know that canal, you know the channel Godgevlamste. No, it's also a YouTube channel. It's about he talked about that the theory that well yeah but anyway he's telling if he told about this be the Ark of the Covenant or something being at the St. Nicholas Church now in New York or something. But anyway, there's a whole other topic. What is for you the most important discovery you personally made for yourself, or the most astonishing thing you discovered in the last few years?
wow, all of it. Vaches, Antiquitech.
Yeah, well, especially the antiquity. Well, especially just the fact that it was always in front of us and we
It
never
was the Lee van
realized
der
it.
Haar atlases that did it for me because I was studying them for so long, and then I raised the question live in chat: why are there so many churches, like
Yeah,
literally stacks, and they're all so high? And
yeah,
I put
yeah.
two and two together that they were, up in trying to get higher into the electrostatic potential. The higher the building, the more electrostatic potential.
All
And I
right, all
thought,
right.
well, they could be drawing energy, and then it just went on from there.
But do you think that those buildings are still capable of harvesting
Well,
energy?
do you mind if I share screen at the moment?
Yeah, sure,
And I
man.
can give you
Show me,
like
show me.
give your
Yeah, I guess you have to share, then I have to approve or something. I guess, or
no,
maybe.
I'm fine. I'm
Oh,
there.
okay, okay. I do nothing, man. Yeah, yeah. You see, I got wounded. It's like
Well,
Jesus, dude. Oh, you're
this
okay.
is in Cambodia. This is Chris, right? This is
Wow.
in Phnom Penh. Okay. Um, Flat Earth British. We posted this back about 2 years ago, and another YouTuber called UAP found corroborating evidence of this thing sparking on a magazine. So there's a backup for it. But what we find is this temple has become active. Now listen to this as well. I'm not sure if you can hear it as well. Yeah, you can.
I can't hear any sound.
Never press the sound thing. But yeah, it's sparking, it's arcing, and can you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a similar to a St. Elmo's fire that covers ships. It's the
It's
similar
like a
sort of thing.
plasma,
It's
electric
plasma.
charge.
It is
Yeah, yeah.
plasma. That's exactly what it is.
Wow.
But it's already locked. Like Tesla knew about the untold potential locked in the ether, and it's just a case of teasing it out by resonance. That's what teases it out. If you find the right key, which is a sound, okay, it will tease it out, and that was the key with Tesla Tech. And
Yeah,
there it
because
is in
it's
use.
the shape. Is it the shape that teases it out, or?
It's the quality of the metal and the symmetry. So if they use a cross, it's not for a religious purpose. It's the symmetry and there's often a ball underneath. We kind of think
Yeah,
that there
yeah, I
might have
saw
been
that last.
mercury in the ball
Yeah,
as well to augment the process, and some sort of storage facility. Because once you've produced that amount of power, what exactly do you do with it? I think it's for the circuit board city things. I can show you a little
mhm,
bit of that later on. But
yeah.
if just for your subs, if they're not really up on some of
This
this,
is so great. This is so great.
oh, I
And
got stacks to show you. It'll be very
yeah,
juicy.
yeah,
So
man, show me, man. The most fascinating thing about this is that we see this in every country around the world, even also in
yeah,
Australia or in America, which make
South
this very
Africa, Hong
out
Kong,
of place
doesn't
artifact,
matter.
you know?
But what you get is you find with these, what we call a Tatarian style of build, is the lower levels are always down below ground level. You're going to see this everywhere, which makes no architectural sense, especially in a country that's snow and rain, because, it's a basement, but it's disproportionate. And why the hell would they put the front door on the second story in all of these buildings is what they're doing. So
Yeah,
that's another question. And they're always top heavy. So basically, all of the stuff you'll find is on the roof. And you will see these things here, which are portal windows, which
wow,
weren't always portal windows. They were something to do with this cymatic energy that was
yeah.
used also in
Do you think
locks.
they had a way of communicating, like a phone or
Well,
something?
yeah, as well. I've often thought, I put a few videos up. Basically, they were Skyping
Yeah, yeah.
in
It's like
Germany.
it was a mirror or something, huh? Like a
No,
black
no, they were
mirror,
Skyping using
Stripe or
television
something.
in the 1920s. I can show you a video. I can show you it now.
Wow. Oh yeah. Wow. All right.
Yeah,
Skype.
just after the First World War, 1920, they're doing Skypes from Berlin to Stuttgart in a
Oh my
television
God!
screen.
Yeah, all
Oh
right, man.
yeah.
Check out this
So
bit. This is also amazing building
so
wise,
if they
man.
had them in, the beginning of the 1900s, I feel that they definitely had you in the 1800s. For me, I think that Napoleon was probably sitting there if there were battles happening, watching it on his screen, because
Yeah.
I don't think this is new technology. So I made a video earlier concerning these sky wires, spaghetti sky wires. They're meant to be the telegraph and they're
Yeah.
meant to be the telephone, but it can't be because the telephone doesn't arrive in anybody's properties prior to 1910. Okay, because Alexander Graham Bell hasn't got them out there yet. So the telegraph is only in telegraph offices. So there's the question of what are all of the wires for? Because not
Yeah. Well, in
everybody got.
Holland, we still have those things around. Eh?
You
It's of
have,
course. Yeah.
but some cities have none at all, or
Check
no
this out,
telegraph
man. My
poles.
goodness, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
so this is in Belgium,
Wow.
okay, and these examples, looks like Houses of Parliament in England, but you can see all these lower windows which are
Yeah.
here,
Yeah,
and
even the
that
size
door
of the
there.
people, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that. That's the top of a door. And it's just under the road because what's happened is there's been some cataclysmic event in the near past. Everything's been filled up with mud. Possibly all of this was underwater anyway. Noah's flood, basically.
And
Noah's
is that
flood.
the thing that was man-made, or is it caused by
Um,
natural disaster?
I am under the impression that it is artificial. Everything is in this place. We're in some sort of room. We're in Middle Earth. There seems to be different levels. There seems to be one above us and one below us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
middle, and it's nothing like anybody thinks. And it is definitely,
Hey,
a
this is the
theatrical.
dam in Amsterdam, right?
This is the dam rack, man.
Yeah,
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 check.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know this place. This is
Of course you do.
nearby.
I know you do. Get off at the station, you're there.
Yeah,
Look at that
but
old England, it says there, though, in a dam rack. Isn't that weird? Old
yeah,
England.
yeah, yeah. Well, England and Holland are so interconnected. That's
They have got
anyway.
electric track. Oh, but listen, when I was in the Merchant Navy, if you're in Norfolk, right, which is just the other side from, say in Harwich, which is just the other side from Rotterdam, the people there have a slightly Dutch accent,
All right. Okay. Okay.
right? They talk like this, a bit like this. They got this on the tongue.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you go over to Rotterdam, and yeah,
yeah,
they
there
sound
are
a bit like
also a few Aboriginal
Norfolk.
tribes in, I believe it, in Australia or in other parts of the world, because the Dutch as well as the English, they went everywhere and colonized
Oh, the South
everything.
Africans, the Transkei. When I
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
Amsterdam, I used to go in the Transkei coffee shop, and it was run by Afrikaans, but you used to get good nederhash
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
really cheap.
Talk about
Pound,
the
pound,
lamppost here. That's also an
€2
interesting
a girl.
thing.
Yeah, look at that.
I mean, I also the
Like,
first the time you mentioned like first of all they're way too high, to be for a good light function, especially in those times
it's a
that there were
tech.
Yeah, and well, what do you think? Anyway, the big pillars there are anyway. You know the
I think they go deeper and are part of the old world. I think they go a lot deeper. They're always
all right.
pyramidical by nature, meaning they step up, and there's always some sort of column. It has the Roman classical theme. All the Roman classical stuff will be on all of them. Um, so I feel that these things, they're always in town centres. We've got them all over Britain as well. I think they're just dupest delight leaving the old world there, is what I think. Interesting to note that they've got horses, apparently, pulling the trams, but these trams are like a couple of ton and full of people, many more tons. I'm not sure I buy that at all with the horses. I'm not sure at all. I don't know what's going on.
yeah, but the people who stole the history from us and repurposed old buildings, you know, that is that are those inheritance of the old world, or is it also?
No, well, they're Freemasons because it was Freemasonry. They found it. They found all this. They
Yeah. All
survived.
right. Okay.
What I think
So
happened.
it's a real. It's just a part of the new humanity,
Yeah,
which
so
got
it's a
corrupt.
new money. We work this shit out. We work
Yeah.
out the puzzle. People have done it before, but they've not got as far as us before. Once we
Yeah.
break this, the
Exactly that. Yeah. Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
of humanity, the whole of history wakes up. Not just our timeline, but their timeline where they're living there. Because there's only ever nows, which means there's no past, there's no present as such, only nows. So
Yeah.
if you're like a young man on the fields of the First World War in the trenches in 1916, that guy's still there in the trenches in 1916. I know
Yeah.
you think it was in the past, but it's not. It's very much is now. So all of history is going to wake up. They stole a civilization. These buildings here, this is a technology on the roof with all of this
Yeah.
wrought iron, which captures the subtle energies, ethers that pass through it. It shakes, it resonates. And when it resonates, it creates a charge of electricity,
All
which is
right.
convertible. So most of that building, I would say, this is on Fifth Avenue in New York. And
All right.
most of this would be under there because you can see the top of a window. They're all like what we call mud flooders.
And then it got utilized by the fireplace, you know, the so-called fireplace or something.
Yeah, well, the elites took all of these on Fifth Avenue. The Astors,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Vanderbilts
Vanderbilt.
took
yeah.
all of these. So
This
there's
is
another
also this
Dutch
is again
square.
the is this again the Dam or the Damrak, right?
No, I think this is
Oh no.
Antwerp. Antwerp, I
Antwerp,
think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, of course.
yeah. I love Antwerp too. I've been there many times.
Yeah,
On
I've been there also
Skipperstraat.
many times. Yeah,
Have a great time. Got stuff.
many Antiquitech, and also you also mentioned Antiquitech
Amazing.
is even a word that got invented by the U.S. truth community. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We
and
brought a
that's
lot of
something to
stuff
be
to
proud of,
humanity.
people. That's something to be proud of.
Well, if I thought of that, my head would be this big because I thought of a lot of it. So these things, the bandstands, we got a question with these as well because they're in the centre of a lot of cities. They seemingly for a band to play on, but we think that these are repurposed because they all have
Yeah.
Antiquitech on them. So
And it
some
used
sort of energy
now
gap.
now you say there used to be a something like that in my hometown, and my hometown is near Amsterdam and
Right.
goes back very ancient. And recently they discovered a whole underground network of tunnels underlying my town.
Ooh, wow.
So there's some weird secrets there as well, because again, being so close to Amsterdam, there was a lot of going on in those times, in those days, a lot of secretive things.
So, funnily, when they did bomb Rotterdam in World War II, they wiped the centre bit inside the star of the face of the earth, even though the mayor had done a surrender for seemingly no reason, very peculiar, because the port wasn't there. This was only the only buildings left standing. You can find it there today. But the rest, everything else was just obliterated. That's one of the only survivors. That's a bit of the old world right there.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a water tower. You have a lot of so-called water towers in Holland.
Could well be a water tower.
Yeah,
I've
and
covered
what's
this
the
in
water
my
tower
first book.
anyway? You know?
Well, this it's Schrodinger's sort of. I think they're magnetizing the water. I think if you just spiral it down as it's coming down, and then feed this because it's so high, it would be easily be able to feed all of the fountains and the houses because it's higher through water pressure. So yeah,
great
it would
photo.
work. Yeah, it would work as, that's what I said the Colosseum was, not for gladiators. I don't think they were feeding Christians to lions and gladiators stabbing one another with swords. I think that's bullshit. I think that
Okay.
it was more than likely filled with water, like what they said it was when
Yeah,
Titus
yeah.
had his big
Well,
battles.
I think it was structured just like the White House or something, and it looked like some kind of coil or something.
Yeah, well, yeah. Have you heard of Searle? There's a thing out there called a Searle device, and if you look at it, it creates electricity, free energy, and it's identical to a
Wow,
Colosseum
wow, yeah.
Searle device. You can find on
And
YouTube.
how do you spell that?
Searle, let me just write that down because I
Okay.
probably might get it wrong. So yeah, Searle's like sort of an off the cut.
Okay, I will dive into it. This is a very familiar picture for me.
Cearl, Cearl. This is in
Cearl, Cearl. Oh,
yeah,
sure. Oh, yeah, sure. Like Pearl, but then with a C.
you got it.
All right.
This is
This is like
Belgium.
walking around in Amsterdam.
Yeah, this is Brussels.
Yeah, Brussels
But
or Antwerp. Yeah, well, it could be any European city, of
can you
course.
see them? The somatic patterns in the top of these windows here.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah,
just
yeah.
for ventilation. These are some technology, vibrational technology up there too. And notice the Phoenicians. See all of these buildings here. They would have been beautiful and they would have been fitting into the street in the past. And then whenever these Phoenicians, which we call them, come and hijacked a civilization, they covered them with their gods and their
Yeah.
vanity, their ego of imperialism, and
And that,
it's
but
all
being,
replicated.
the Phoenicians don't exist anymore, right? They're saying.
They arrived and they went, but I do actually think they're about. If I see one, I'd know one, but no,
Well,
I really
and
think
the
they're
curious thing about being of that is called Phoenician, you can also in regarding what Jason's theory are about being the Phoenix event. That
yeah,
these
of course,
Phoenicians are the ones that know about the destruction cycle and are able
indeed.
to survive it and repopulate the world every time or something.
Yeah, I think that's who is going to. I think that's who's doing the batches because there'll be a new batch after this one.
Oh
There
my
will be
goodness, this is also
survivors.
something there. My God.
Oh, well, yeah, it's just with these buildings, what we find is for a short period in the photographic record, around the 1850s, all of these massive cities, but there's no people in
Yeah,
any of the
they're empty
cities.
cities. Yeah,
Yeah, but not in this case. But look at these
this is
things.
amazing.
Just amazing. I
Yeah,
got some
absolutely
absolutely
amazing.
brilliant film to show you a bit
Yeah,
later.
I've watched videos for hours and hours from you and others, about these
Boston.
fascinating photos. You can watch this for hours, man. It's just
See, this is
absolutely
just the top of a building
yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
absolutely.
They all
And
got
it
these
also,
massive doors.
sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
it also screams to me that people had to be bigger.
Well, this is
But
it, the massive doors. Look at that guy compared to this door
yeah,
hatch. For these are called owl buildings. They're replicated. Every city got one. They're usually theaters and stuff, but same design everywhere in the world for these owl theaters. They're usually made out of a red granite, so I think they're part of the circuit board city thing. So this is in India, the same tech. You've got these are bells upside down. What do bells do? They ring, they give a vibration, and that's what's
just like
happening.
the German bell, the Nazi
Yeah,
thing.
man, the Glocken, and this is a stupa, obviously, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is got
Wow.
antiquitech on top. It's going to catch a charge. This whole thing is an energy center. So
So,
there's a
but
bit.
is it catching like the ether, or as you said before, is
It'll
it
catch
waiting for
ethereal.
lightning or something?
It'll catch energy from below. It'll catch ethereal energy. I think there's multiple purposes to them, but the question is for me is what are they doing with so much energy because we're not utilizing it as people.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
I'm thinking that we like literally create energy for them, and because they're evil and they're so wired to like dark, negative energy,
yeah.
that's why the whole system is
And
negative, isn't it?
regarding all
Nothing
that
good.
evil, how far do you believe this is also a thing going on in another realm or another spiritual realm? Do you believe in God or something like that?
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. And
yeah. I think where all of
have you
this
always
is
believed in
happening
God?
in the
Sorry.
spiritual realm. Yeah, and I think this is a 3D manifestation of what's happening there first. I think our higher selves in this, our souls, do not exist in the material realm. Okay, it's light, it's energy, it lasts forever, it's eternal, and that's who you are. That's what's keeping your body going. That's your divine spark that
Yes,
keeps your body
sir.
animated. Your life force.
Yeah,
And
man.
what happens when you take the life force away? the battery is taken out and the person's like, boom, hard stop, they're gone.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
reset. What are dreams? Where do we go when that place you went when you were tripping? I've been there many, many times. It's very fucking real. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I
you
know.
bring stuff back
It
from
it
it.
was really that as they told in documentaries, it was even more real than daily reality. It was amazing, and it told me so much about all the different dimensions or realities we can experience as a consciousness. This goes so beyond our three-dimensional imagination. Impossible for me to explain. Or to
I think you're doing
describe.
a good job. Yeah, that
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is absolutely mind blowing. I see, there's that Mandela effect thing going on, and I do see some sort of crossovers of what looks like literally two different worlds.
Yeah.
I posted in my last post these images of the Eiffel Tower, and they're two
And
different
what do you believe?
towers.
What do you believe CERN is in Switzerland?
Oh, well, we've been giving that some thought lately as well. Well, it's not what they say it is. Okay, it's
No,
nothing to
no.
do.
Okay,
Nothing
I
to do
think
with.
maybe it's some kind of way to
It's a magnet, isn't it?
communicate between dimensions or something. This is
Some kind
also
of.
an amazing building, man. My goodness.
Yeah, it's a department store. It's still there today in St. Petersburg, but it's rammed out with these Phoenician sculptures. You want to see the inside of that as well. It's like literally like the poshest hotel you've ever been in. But yeah, it's just a department store.
Yeah, well, or the postal office is also a great designation for those kind of buildings.
Why they call it the post office?
The
Post
post
means
office.
past. Yeah.
This is also amazing. I also saw a documentary
Philadelphia.
once about a building like that, and they tried to demolish it or something, or they needed to demolish it, and there were even the whole demolishing thing was a engineering project on itself because they never demolished such a structure before, and it was very robust.
Well, they did. There's one in Chicago they took down, and it cost more money than anything to take
Yeah,
it down.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like
I think
so
it's
solid. It's hard to believe.
This is also great.
Yeah, look at these. This looks way mud flooded. This one, all the windows are there. Further
Yeah,
down.
man. Yeah, of course. You also see that it is in Amsterdam or in London or in England. Everything seems to be, and under a layer of mud or something.
Everywhere in the world, and not even.
Check this out, man.
Oh, that was the biggest construction of apparently the 1800s. It's in the center of Brussels, but honestly, what the hell?
and I guess this got demolished.
No, it's still there.
It's still there. This is still
It's
there.
still there. But the weird thing is, what you find is when you look at old photography, it's like got soul and it really moves you. And if you look at a new photo, it's like you wouldn't even give it a second look. It's like lost all its soul. It's like that whole world is vibrant. And
Yeah.
the
Well, and then to imagine that
crap.
we so-called build that with horses and buggies and things like that, it's ridiculous, man.
In 1900, they were using in America things called moonlight towers, which were halogen lights, which would illuminate the entire center of the city.
Yeah, I'm
like a moon.
already. Wow, such a high. It's like a stadium light 2.0. 2.0.
Well, it was a halogen. It was very, very bright. I'm guessing it was like a floodlight. We have got photographs.
There must be a way in the early 1800s that those guys had electricity or something, and that they had to have a light in the evening, especially when you have buildings like that. Then don't walk around with candles. That's
no electricity infrastructure is laid down before the motor car. Use all horse and cart. There's no infrastructure or underground electric cables to feed this moonlight lamp. You can presume that it's self-illuminating. But America, has got like the Moors. This is like a Muslim Moorish. Top of something you would find in Arabia, but it's in an American city. What's it doing there? Because you will feel this Moorish influence,
and people nowadays, if you look at the newest, most advanced buildings they built nowadays, do you think they still work with principles or methods like the old world or free energy principles or something?
Well, they might do in a royal building, but they're not using the divine sacred principles on new builds, that's for sure.
That seems to be lost to them as well.
Yeah, some of the, I was looking at the biggest hotel in the world, which is next to the the Hajj in Mecca, and it's like got 5,000 rooms, and looked
Wow. Yeah,
inside.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
See
saw
what?
one in is that Saudi Arabia? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That one
Saudi
is great.
Arabia.
It's a crazy place, man. This is
Crazy.
New York. All right.
But again, it lacks the divine principles. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's Battery Park there,
I
which
also
is
am going to
still
make
there,
myself a
and the
nice
Star
mug.
Fort would have been around by there.
Yeah, well, it's very okay. About this, of course, very
And there's
fascinating
Broadway. There's Broadway.
because
You know, better.
and the reason that I also brought up St. Nicholas a few moments ago is because of the when the Dutch arrived in New York and created New Amsterdam with that Starfort and things like that, they also introduced St. Nicholas as and they St. Nicholas became Santa Claus eventually and
Yeah.
was pushed by ancient Dutch families that really wanted this to be a thing in the new world, you know. And of course, Santa Christmas is also a old pagan way of
Sure.
worshiping some kind of deity or something, you know.
Yeah, for
So
100%. Yeah, so I can see what they did there. Yeah.
there's crazy stuff going on.
Also,
There's
Old Nick is the devil.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, there
So
is
this is supposed to be.
so much crazy stuff going on, and I came to impression, or well, I thought about it like this: that the Earth is like a prison for those parts of of our consciousness, and we are all, of course, indestructible, we can't die and everything like that. So our energy always exists, and some parts are so sick that have to be contained somewhere, just like a frequency range that I consider the Earth to be.
Yeah,
So I guess we're all in the jail.
yeah, man. Pod life for us, I'm afraid. It's all right. The
And
game's pretty good. I'm into it.
well, yeah, well, since I know the
Game's a
game,
punchline.
since I know how to play it, it's been a very lovely game to play. It's very fascinating way. And the last 3 years of my life have been complete life changer for me. Absolutely, man.
I know how it is. I know how it is. I feel the same. It's like
Yeah,
we've done so much, improved so much against what the official narrative is. We had doubts, but
absolutely.
now it's
Well,
proved.
they consider us a real threat to democracy, even. And well,
Yeah,
it's good
such
that
is.
we're talking about fairy tales. So
Yeah, people have said you're the most dangerous man on earth, Matt, and I was like, fucking good.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's too much. But okay, if you say so, no problem. I'll take it. I
Whatever.
believe this is one of the buildings that got demolished. Was very hard to demolish. It's a building like this. I
I have
remember.
got that built in. I've got pictures of it being demolished as well. There's one in Chicago. It's just absolutely insane, the size
Yeah.
of it. But
Well,
they
also
always got these
yeah,
massive doors.
also the columns like the Champs Elysees or in Paris. The big it's also amazing structures with no apparent reason for being there. It's
Well,
like
not for the population at the time, but it just goes
exactly.
to show that there must have been trillions that went before us. So where the fucking hell are they?
Yeah,
Where
man.
are the
Yeah,
trillions that
man. Yeah.
went
What
before us?
happened, man? Yeah.
We never like they say like I'm not going to even mention the evolutionary word because it's an insult to my intelligence, but there has been civilization. You can see, just go to Baalbek or fucking Egypt, and you can see that there was these advanced civilizations. We can't make head or tail about what's going on, except that there
Exactly.
was really advanced stuff going on. That's all we know.
Absolutely.
And then there's this civilization that is, if I just show you here,
That's us. That's us.
I can show you loads, but I just want to make a point. Is this that
yeah, man.
it's
Check
all
it out.
replicated everywhere in the world? Has got this Greco-Romano architecture. Doesn't matter where it is: New Zealand, China, Ukraine. They've managed to retain a lot of buildings. I've seen some images of them after World War II, and boy, oh boy, it's surprising anything's actually there at all. Same for Germany. It's just weird.
Yeah.
So everywhere in the world has one style of architecture. Now you can say, well, all of the architects work for the same office. No, these people,
Yeah.
some of these are mortal enemies. They're not really doing business. Yeah, everyone. So it sort of proves that
And
these have
they
been
also
alive.
seem to stretch or differ in time frame. Eh? So some buildings are like 200, 300 years old. Some are
You
600
got
years
it.
old.
You got it. You got it. This is it. But
That's
you can see the
absolutely
ones that have
fascinating,
been
man.
through reset and the ones that haven't been through reset. These they've been covered over, and if you take the facade off that building, for example, you're going
Yeah.
to find that it's red brick underneath. They've
Yeah.
literally covered over. It's like the cover up. It's covering up.
red brick meaning?
Sorry.
Well, what does that mean? That it's from that there is red brick under it?
Well, the Celtics, the Tartarians, they used red brick in their build.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
covered over. They use red granite,
Yeah.
a lot of granite because it's got crystalline structure to it and it holds a charge.
That is
Also,
so crazy.
can hold a
You know,
charge.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, as I told, that I was always space is great and aliens are the thing, you know, and I believed every CIA report. But now I know, of course, since a few years, that everything the CIA says is a psychological operation or a cover story. And yesterday, they came up with a cover story for this red brick stuff, and that's the reason why I asked you, because I never heard of it before. And
Oh, you can find a dozen channels out there
yeah, well,
trying to debunk and
and
call
it's
it.
curious that yesterday I just saw the CIA claiming what the red brick link should be, and they told about some kind of crazy time travel story or something. It's just
Right,
ridiculous.
well, they're giving a
This is
gateway
also
there.
great stuff. This is from the World Fairs.
Yeah, the Paris World Fairs, but you know, for this civilization to exist, I've got the most amazing images I could show you. But
Yeah, man.
you know, they just literally taking it all away, and you're just supposed to presume that this is something they built for a short period of time.
Yeah,
For
that
X
is
amount
the
of people to
and
visit.
this is also a very significant part, or very telling part of our history that we are not never told, because here in Holland, in our schools, I have never heard of a world fair or something like that. Never
They
heard
don't
of it.
teach you about them in school.
No, no,
That is
no.
why.
We
So we
don't
think
teach it.
something like that might be going on. I know it's a 3D graphic, but
Wow, check this out, man. Yeah, yeah. Why not, man? Everything is
and then
possible.
down, and they all have got massive sub basements to all of these civic buildings. They use them as like nuclear bunkers, apparently, if they were a
Yeah,
thing.
crazy stuff.
And you can see
Check this out, man. This is
that's
the.
Paris.
It says Paris, right?
Yeah, but you've got the old columns down here and
Yeah.
existence of an older world. There's walls here and the mud's there. It's usually the same height, around 30 foot in height, the mud, worldwide. Same in Easter Island as well, because the Moe, they were buried 30 foot down, and there's no reason for why the Moe were built. So they were on the top of the surface and they got mudded in. This is St. Petersburg. That looks like it's been completely swamped in mud. The mud's dried off, grass has grown on top. It's a city of 500,000 people. It has no infrastructure whatsoever laid down. No pavements, no lampposts, no infrastructure. These buildings here, you got like the steps are missing there because the rest is in mud. You only see a few steps there. This building that you can see here, you're just seeing the top of this building. The rest is down below ground level. No people at this point. No life, birds, no nothing at this point. It's summer.
And this is around 18 whatever?
These are 1850s.
1850s.
Okay,
so it's like, yeah, crazy, man.
Should be full of people. And nowhere in the city is there any sort of life. There's, nothing going on, no birds. And what you get as well in this period is these white skies, vanilla skies. We think they're blocking out the air travel at the time.
Oh, wow, yeah. I thought, I also heard it was like the Photoshop of the time or something.
Sure. But there's no life here. There's a boat there on the move. But what we think is there's skeleton crews sent into every city to touch them up, if you like, ready for the new batch of arrivals. I could show you
crazy, man,
footage of the arrivals a second.
Sure.
On my channel here, I did this. It's San Francisco. It's my biggest question with the whole investigation. But what you do see is they have got a lot of footage of the events. You get this before. So this is 2 days before, okay? And we have literally confirmed without any shadow of a doubt, this is a movie set, okay? And this is fabricated. How do we know? That car's registration plate, he keeps going up and round circles. Nowhere else in the world has as many motor cars as Market Street in San Francisco. This is on April the 6th, 1906. It's 2 days before the event. And he coincidentally had the best footage ever taken of antiquity. And there's people right down here waiting to basically get killed because everyone's got this suicidal thing going on, as you'll see. There's
Yeah.
plenty of people. Yeah, man. There's plenty because you know it's a movie set. There's plenty of people waiting for the camera to come down. I'm sure not everyone's seeing cameras in 1906, and everyone's doing these suicidal moves. There's a guy there with a baby.
Yeah.
Go on, get swatted by a. Oh, don't worry, it's only a baby.
Yeah,
That's not a baby.
this is like the Truman Show idea, no?
How many men do you see carrying babies like that on trams that way? Without a pram or anything. It's just no. And you never see men with babies in this period. This is a known thing. Yeah? So that is just
this is
like, but look,
choreographed or something in a way.
it's all choreographed. That car's been round. He's going to do another loop now. If you check the registration plate, he comes round about 4 times just to make it fill up with cars.
Wow.
The earthquake happens and the subsequent firestorm 2 days later, and you don't see a single fucking car on the street. Where's all the cars after the earthquake? Is beyond me. None.
Oh wow.
None.
Wow. All right.
They'll disappear. I dig that it was 5 in the morning, but there should have been some cars around, but there's none. The electric trams, they got a pulley system under here, apparently.
Yeah, because there's no cable at the top.
No, it's electric tram. And it runs on a caliper.
I also pointed this out like a year ago, but I thought because of the quality of the recordings that we were not able to see the cables running or something, you know. But they actually don't have any cables. Okay. So it's like a ground connection.
This is the argument anyway. I was arguing how come the trams are still working the day after the apocalypse. Okay, look at that guy there. Hid his face. Did you see him? How do you even know, dude, that the camera's there? This guy here walking across, right? They all give the game away. They're just so stupid I can't be bothered. I know what's going on. We all do. It's all fabricated.
Yeah, it's all fabricated. My goodness.
Yeah, and if you don't think that they could do it, they were doing Cecil B. DeMille productions with 500,000 people in them, like Cleopatra, for example. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just like if you have a few conspiring adults and a bunch of children that you're going to repopulate the world with, yeah, you can tell them everything, of course.
You can tell them anything. But then you like, the weird thing is, the horrifying thing is a couple of days later, it's this. And then you got all these endless amounts of people. Now, I put a video out last night, right, showing the oldest generation in photograph, okay? And there was something wrong with their eyes. They all looked like they had cataracts.
Or they were already dead or deadly depressive or something.
Yeah, so somebody said to me, oh, you should compare people's lives who survived, say, Auschwitz or maybe the Second World War or some bombing. I was like, yeah, I should fucking do that. Because my father was 3 years fighting Russians in the trenches, right, in the Second World War. And he looked absolutely fine, yeah? And my mother went through aerial bombing in World War II. I know my family, my nana, my grandmother. They were absolutely fine. They didn't have this, whatever was wrong with them. I showed in my last post. And he was right. The trauma from Second World War was not the same. It's not the same. So, yeah, this it's highly spooky what's going on with this.
Yeah, that's really spooky, man. Absolutely.
So they all arrived from the Terminus building, which is here there, which is a ferry terminal. Interesting name, terminal, don't you think?
Ferrying. Yeah.
Dig this. So none of them got bags. They're all in their their Sunday finest. Okay, they're all dressed in the same sort of clothes.
Yeah.
And they're all moving down the one road. No possessions really as such. Maybe the one hold or the one bag. The women are dressed wonderfully. And nobody gives a shit that Armageddon is around them. I mean, no one's in shock. No one's looking around. Everyone is looking forward with a purpose, like they got a designated place to go to. It is the weirdest thing you will ever see.
It's the weirdest thing. Yeah. But it's crazy stuff, man. Great stuff to think about, by the way, also.
Yeah, 2 days after all that activity was. So I think that they've given us this. This could be
1903,
before,
you say? 1905 or something? 1903?
1906. This could be before, and that first images I showed you in colour could be after.
Wow.
And they're just lying, because they're lying about film, they're lying about photography. If they lie about the shape of the earth, photography's a given. I think that a lot of the stuff we're seeing is maybe another world that's completely destroyed and lost to us. And then people were nothing to do with us and we're no relatives to them. That's why there's no connection and no feeling, because they're not us. We're somebody else. We're a new batch.
Right. Yeah. They're really
the arrivals. The arrivals. And here they are, the first generation. Where are they all coming from? Where's their belongings? Where are they going to live? What the hell is
Yeah.
going
How did
on?
they build all that? And why is there so much rubbish everywhere? In mud and things like that. Or of course,
Well,
this
I
was of
could.
course. Oh, sorry, it was after the earthquake. Of course, sorry.
Yeah, it's after the earthquake, but it
Yeah.
looks like Hiroshima, okay? The one thing you'll get, okay, is even though the firestorm was supposed to have destroyed the city and the earthquake apparently, which I don't think was the case, all of the wires and all of the telegraph poles, which are made of wood, and the trees all stay intact. Yet the buildings themselves have disappeared in their footprint,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Leaving nothing on the road. In their footprint, the buildings have disappeared.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Okay,
It's a crazy story, man. That is very
so I
crazy.
think that they're using some sort of fascist technology similar to dew weapons, something to
Hey,
melt
Martin,
matter.
my broadcasts are usually about an hour, and
Oh, cool.
I think we'll round this up, and
All right.
because I'll have to translate this whole episode as well. I'm gonna have to add
Good
subtitles,
luck with
and
that.
I can yeah. Well, it's like this. It's like if you want to translate like 10 minutes, it's like a one or 90-minute job.
I
10
I
minutes
wouldn't want to do it.
translation is 90 minutes of work at least, and it's no way it can be or done faster.
No,
So
an hour's
doesn't
good
matter.
once you watch it.
I'm sure that a lot of people also saw in the chat that a lot of people could understand perfectly what we're talking about. So, and of course, there was also a lot of English people as well. Thank you all for watching, people. And this has been a great honor for me to have Martin in my show. And I really hope to speak to you again, Martin. And
I'll show you the rest another time. I got stuff
yeah,
to
man,
finish.
there's so much more to see. Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But for the guys, of the people at home, again, thank you very much for watching this. And I will speak to you later. I will come back later tonight with my Dutch stuff for my Dutch viewers. I will finish this off with Martin, and I wish you a very great evening, my best friend.
Thanks for the warm welcome from Holland. Love you guys. Thanks,
Cool, man.
Chris. Lovely to meet you, my brother. We'll look up again, right, Buff?
All right, guys. Goodbye.
Peace and love.